Welcome to Redtastic. Story 1. I, 22 male, recently got a great job with a higher salary than what I've been earning. And I shared the good news with my mom, 42 female. She in turn told my stepfather, 52 male, and my stepsister, 18 female, about my new job. My mom and my stepdad met on a blind date for widowed people. They got married after a few months, and we moved into his house to live with him and his daughter. She was 3 years old then, and I was 7. My stepdad worked for a building corporation, while my mom had a low-paying job. My stepdad told me from the start that he married mom because he needed her, but he had no use or love for me. Whenever my mom wanted us to do things as a family, he would remind her that I was not related to him by blood or by law. So I was not a part of his family. He refused to spend money on me in any way. He frequently bragged that he would never waste his money on me because he would never raise another man's child with his money. This meant that I had to rely on whatever my mom gave me, which was infrequent, or what I earned from the various odd jobs I could get. Mom's job was a low-end job, and after contributing to housekeeping and other expenses, she rarely had enough savings for me. This meant I had few clothes, relied on thrift stores, and had very little social life as I was always working or studying. My stepdad would taunt me that my education would end after high school because he wouldn't assist in any way, and he knew about my skepticism about loans. His mockery fueled my determination to get a degree and succeed in my career. My determination paid off, and I went to college on a full scholarship. Due to my outstanding academic performance, I also got a paid internship. After I graduated, I was retained as a full-time employee and my salary increased. This was before I got the new job that pays twice my previous salary. My stepsister got pregnant in a senior year, and since she's heading to our community college this fall, my stepfather has been pestering everyone to contribute to the baby's expenses, particularly babysitting. At first, he tried forcing my mom to quit her job and be his daughter's full-time babysitter. He claims it's her duty as a grandmother, but my mom refused outright. She told them to hire a babysitter. Now my stepdad called me and complained about my mom's actions. He accused her of being stubborn and selfish for refusing to sacrifice her job for his daughter's comfort. Then he demanded that my mom and I pay the babysitting fees because he could not afford the extra expenses. I told him I would not do that because it was not my duty. We argued over my decision, and he told me I was as selfish as my mom and that we both lacked familial love. So I told him that I had no familial love for someone who never saw me as a member of his family, and that, just like him, I would not use my money to raise another man's child. He has been reporting to everyone close to me, telling everyone that I have refused to help my stepsister and that I'm denying my family. He has been quite antagonistic towards my mom, although he was never exactly nice to her. Some people called to hear my side of the story, but others think I'm an a-hole for refusing to assist them when I have the money too. Am I the a-hole here? Update. Earlier on, I made a post about my stepdad expecting me to pay for his daughter's child's babysitting fee and other expenses. Well, after that period, my stepdad turned violent. He has always been emotionally and verbally abusive. But last week, he hit my mom over an argument concerning my stepsister and a child. My mom left his house and she's planning to get a restraining order and a divorce soon. I'm super glad my mom left him. She has had to endure his abuse for years, and it has affected her health and psyche. Thanks to everyone who shared their opinions earlier on. I appreciate your understanding and advice. You're not the a-hole, OP. I'm sorry your stepdad couldn't step up and be a father to you just because he doesn't want to raise another man's child. I'm glad you worked hard to prove to him that you can end up being a great person in life without his help. You and your mom don't have to pay for anything you don't want to. The baby coming is your stepdad's grandchild. Since he cares about blood so much, he should be happy to give all he has to the child. I'm glad your mom is divorcing him. She deserves better. Good luck, OP. Story 2. My husband, 22 male, and I, 22 female, both come from pretty religious families. My family is much poorer than my husband's, And once I became an adult, they told me point blank they can't really afford me living with them unless I get a job. My job didn't make enough money, and when I told my husband, then boyfriend, he offered for me to move in with him and his parents. We agreed to a set of rules: separate rooms, waiting until marriage, address before coming downstairs, don't make noise after a certain time, no PDA, etc. They all seemed reasonable and we followed them to the T. We got pretty lucky in that we got married right after quarantine, but it did interrupt our honeymoon. Anyways, after coming back, we're still living with my in-laws. We can't afford to leave right now, and we were both pretty surprised to find out none of their rules had changed. We tried to bring it up with them, but they said they're doing us a favor, which is true, so we gave up. I understand that I'm in the wrong because I agreed to these rules, but I miss him at night. Even if it was a no-sex rule, I could honestly abide by it. I just want to sleep next to him. My husband feels the same way, and now that it's been a year, we both really can't take it anymore. I asked my mother-in-law again, and she repeated the same thing she said from the beginning. They're doing us a favor and we can just move out if we don't like it. And they had informed both of us of the rules before I originally moved in. I got a bit emotional. I don't know why, and I said we can't do it anymore, and that got her very upset. She told me we should be more grateful that they're helping us at all, and that I clearly don't know real suffering to treat this as if it is. I get where I overreacted and I know I agreed to the rules, but am I the a-hole? This feels unreasonable. Edit. Our original plan was to have the wedding, live with his parents for a little bit, we had discussed it with them, and then move into a cheap apartment. The problem is we both lost our jobs and are struggling right now. Although I'm doing commission work, my parents are also struggling for money, and we loaned some to them that they're not able to pay back as of now. Adding on to that, we also have to pay our in-laws, although the amount is low. Everyone sucks here, OP. Your in-laws suck for imposing such a rule on you, but then again, their house, their rules. You and your fiancé suck for putting yourselves in this situation. If you two weren't financially able to support yourself before the wedding, you probably should not have gotten married. While your in-laws' rules are ridiculous, it is true that you can move out if you don't like them. If you two want to live by your own rules, you need to figure out a way to support yourselves and move out. Until you two do that, you won't really be adults. Now for some comments. No a-holes here. Her house, her rules. Can't blame you for not wanting to live like this anymore, but that's probably something you should have considered before prioritizing a honeymoon over independence. This might be her way of pushing you guys out, if you're not comfortable here. Wherever the religion, I'm almost positive there's got to be a verse about marriage, sacred, and cleaving to your wife, whatever. They want to pull the religion card, reverse that shit. As it stands though, no a-holes here. It's their house and I guess they can make whatever stupid rules they want. The consequence is going to be that you guys end up distanced from them at some point physically and emotionally. But they are creating that, not you guys. But I would start figuring out how to move ASAP. Everyone sucks here. Your in-laws want you to move out. Their way of going about it isn't wonderful. Asking you to sleep in separate rooms is probably their passive-aggressive way of saying get the F out. You are being fed and housed for a nominal fee. If you don't like the rules, then move out. If you are unable to move out, then abide by the rules. Frankly, getting married before you are financially independent is a pretty terrible decision considering finances are the second leading cause of divorce. Story 3. My 42's daughter 22 recently graduated from her bachelor's studies in computer sciences. She got first position academically, and while I could not be more proud of her, I think I'm justified in what I did. Studies had been tough for her because she chose this field, but thanks to my darling husband, 47, who works in the same field, she was able to cope, perform better, and stay at the top of her class. Honestly, the amount of effort my husband put in the first year and a half was amazing, but our daughter also worked hard, which is why she got to where she is today. Last week, there was an online graduation ceremony, which was basically a slideshow of all the students who graduated and a live for the top 3 academically of each department and the top projects. The top academic ones were asked to deliver a speech as well, and this is where the problem started. In her speech, she started with, I would like to thank my mother, family, teachers, and especially insert senior year project supervisor. She was in another room delivering the speech and I was with my husband watching it live stream and I was hurt by the look on his face. This guy who stayed up till late to help daughter sometimes took a day off from work to prepare her for an exam or presentation, and the one who was more invested in her senior year project than even her could not get a single mention in that speech. It was not my place to be named exclusively, but this was not acceptable for me. I did ask him if he was okay, and he tried to play it off by saying, "Yeah, what's wrong?" He is a terrible liar and cannot pull a poker face. When the ceremony ended, I confronted her about this and she saw no problem because that is just a standard speech. She even asked husband and he said, "No issues," trying to avoid eye contact. I asked my daughter to apologize to her father and she refused because she does not see the problem. And husband is also okay and we should get ready for the reservation we had later. I told her she could go by herself because I'm not going, knowing my husband would not go either. Daughter is angry that we are ruining her day. I say she just needs to acknowledge her fault and be done with it. She has not talked with me for the whole week and also her father. My husband wants to ignore this and my friends say that she is still a kid. I know this is not my fight, but I refuse to budge because for me, this was a disrespect for my husband and I can't let that go. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Sorry for getting back so late. I read a lot of the comments and would like to add 1. A lot of people need reading skills. If the same person is being referred to as the husband and daughter's father, he is very likely the biological father. How is that even a question and problem? 2. It is a fair question to ask whether it feels like her efforts are being downplayed. The degree she applied to required a minimum of 50% to enter, plus the university-specific test score. She got 60%, and after cramming for a whole week prior to the test, she made the list. She chose that degree because a lot of her friends were as well. I knew she was fighting a losing battle, but thanks to her husband and her efforts to change, she has shown remarkable improvement that puts her past self to shame. Yes, it's a person's internal drive and will to change that matters, but why forget the catalyst? 3. I'm not ignoring my daughter's hard work. I am angry at her oversight and refusal to admit any wrongdoing. She knows husband will avoid conflict, but even I fail to understand why she did what she did. She did not give an answer then, and if she admits that it was an oversight, that would be the end of it. 4. I know overbearing and helicopter parents. Husband is not one of them. Daughter has woken him up from sleep for help. He did not give answers but provided methods to get to them. Ergo, a good teacher. I'm not saying my daughter cheated her way up the degree because after half the degree, when tougher subjects were introduced, she became quite self-sufficient and responsible for her work. Now for some comments. I read the story as it is written right now. I say not the a-hole. Dad works in the field and helped his kid on a lot of assignments, and his help was part of her getting first in class, but she thanks everyone but him during the speech. I would be irked too. It just sounds like her maturity isn't there yet. She will probably deal with something similar later on in life that will remind her of this, even if it isn't that big of a deal. Not the a-hole. 22 is grown up. Your daughter behaved like an ungrateful little shit. How hard is it to say, "I'd like to thank my mom and dad"? Maybe she feels embarrassed that she couldn't have made it without him. I can't believe all these people making excuses for her. The only reason they're asking about parentage is that half the posts on here are about step this and step that. The amount of hate and jealousy is alarming. The cruelty of exclusion is rife. You're the a-hole. Get over yourself, please. You have no idea how much help her student advisor gave her. Your husband is a grown man who can stand up for his own issues if he feels so inclined. Your daughter, who you said yourself to, did not start out with the best marks and she finished within the top 3 of her class. That's incredible, but seemingly her speech is worth way more than that. Speeches are hard and there are lots of expectations from lots of people to be thanked. She can thank her father in her own time and her own way. Stop trying to control their relationship. It's not up to you to decide what he's upset about, what he wants to stand his ground on.